if you can be honest about it, Canelo apparently leaving PBC, should be heading over to Matchroom. It's supposedly supposed to be like Berlanga and Mungia, as opposed to Benavidez and probably maybe a Jamal Charlo. In your opinion, a lot of people are saying that Canelo's taking the easier route. Do you think that Berlanga and Mungia
let me tell you something about Canelo Alvarez. The most fearless fighter I've ever met. Trust me when I say Canelo Alvarez will fight anybody, right? He will fight Benavidez. He will fight Charlo. He will fight Mungia. He will fight Berlanga. What he wants people to come to fight. What he doesn't want people to do is to come to survive. He was really disappointed with the Charlo fight because Charlo never come to fight. He never came to try and win the fight. And the problem with a fight against a brother, commercially it doesn't work, he probably won't come and try and win the fight either. Mungia is a guy that will come with everything to win that fight. He will put it on Canelo Alvarez, he will stand and fight with him. So will Berlanga, so will Benavidez. So in my opinion, what he doesn't want to do is fight Charlo. He's not interested in fighting Crawford. Crawford's a 147 pounder that's going to move around and try and box in and out of, like, he wants to fight Mungia, Benavidez, Berlanga. He wants to fight young fighters that come to win. So from our position, there's nothing done with Matchroom with Canelo Alvarez. We talk all the time. It would be an honour to bring him back to Matchroom and DAZN. We're going to certainly try to do so. But at the moment, we're just talking. But for everybody that says, oh, he's trying to avoid, look at his resume. He's never avoided anybody. And when he fights Benavidez, which I'm sure he does, that is a huge fight. And we would be happy to talk to Benavidez and try and make that fight with Canelo Alvarez. But what he wants right now is he wants a planned schedule, because clearly he's been messed around. And he wants to get back to fighting and knowing he's fighting. Not doing one fight and then the goalposts move and then the opponents move. You know, let's get him back, finishing his career as strong as possible, as what he is, the greatest fighter of our generation.
Which fight makes the most sense right away, Berlanga or Mungia?
The Mungia fight is a really big fight, It does tremendous numbers. Really, in honesty, Berlanga probably would ideally have one more to convince you guys that is a real credible fight. But I'll tell you something about Edgar Berlanga. Mexico, Puerto Rico, he will come in the middle of the ring and he will fight Canelo Alvarez and he will give you a great fight. But I cannot deny that the Mungia fight right now, commercially, is a big fight.
Which fight would you say is bigger? Which fight would you say is bigger and going to sell the most pay-per-view buys? Is it Haney versus Ryan or Canelo versus Mungia?
Canelo versus Mungia it's a massive fight, and you can't compare the numbers. You know, this is Haney Garcia is a brilliant fight. I think he's going to do really, really well. Canelo Alvarez is, you know, a consistent pay-per-view seller against anyone. You put two Mexicans in together, you put two guys, you know, maybe a country that's a little bit split in supporting the new charge and the king of boxing. You put a guy in with Canelo Alvarez that comes on the front foot, that throws plenty of punches, that only comes forward. You've got an unbelievable all-Mexican war. Not a guy that's trying to survive.
Would you understand?
If Canelo was doing so great, why did DAZN or Matchroom let him go in the first place?
Because we didn't have the opponents for him. The only fight we had for him was Dimitri Bivol, which we couldn't make because Bivol had a fight to do, and then he was fighting Beterbiev. So we couldn't get that fight made. Bivol wanted to do it at 168. Canelo wanted it at the same terms. So he had no choice but to join the PBC because they gave him a good path. But the path eroded. The path that was mapped out never actually materialised. And he doesn't want to fight a guy. He was disappointed with the Charlo fight because Charlo ran for 12 rounds. He didn't even try and win the fight. And his brother will do the same. His brother might not even turn up. So you can't, you need a reliable plan. And a reliable plan, even if you think that, oh, you know, Mungia, Berlanga, oh, what about Benavidez? No problem. Like, when I've talked to Sal about Benavidez, like, the fact that people think he won't fight him, he actually laughs. You know, this is a guy, he's fought everybody. He'll fight Benavidez and we'll do that deal to fight Benavidez. But he wants activity, he wants a plan. Benavidez ain't for happening in May. So
if you were able to get, if you're pulling out Benavidez, he's across the street. You could have been able to, when you had Canelo, why wasn't you?
Because the PBC don't want to work with anyone. And now they're fucked. Yeah. So you get to a situation where if I reached out to Benavidez, what the PBC do is they go, we're only making that fight on a PBC. Not, we'll give Benavidez the opportunity. And this is what people don't understand. They're not willing to let their guys go on another platform to take a chance to achieve greatness. It all has to happen with them only.
Why do you think that?
Because that's just how they operate. So what we do is we sign who we want to sign, that people who have the commercial value, not just guys because they've got a good name. Some of these guys, PBC have lost a lot of money on doing fights with those fighters. So you have to, the price has to be right, the business has to be right. But people like Benavidez, if we do manage to do a deal with Canelo Alvarez, we can do Mungia, we can do Berlanga, or if Benavidez wants to come and play, but it doesn't, we don't, when PBC do a deal, they only let you go and fight one of their fighters if you align yourself to PBC. What I wouldn't do to Benavidez is say, oh, you can fight Canelo Alvarez, but you've got to sign a 5-fight deal with Matchroom or DAZN. I just want to see a great fight. And Canelo Alvarez don't care about who's with who. He'll just say to me, this is what Canelo will say to me, Eddie, who am I fighting and how much?
Would you at least understand the disappointment from everybody if it is Berlanga next? He's a very good fighter, but he hasn't really fought anybody.
But you know, at the end of the day, who is the other options? The only option right now on the table is Canelo never got Benavidez offers for May and all this big money that everyone's talking about. They said to him, you can fight Jamel Charlo, and by the way, the money that we promised you, we're not even promising you that anymore. He don't even want to fight Charlo. So he's got to look at other options. He's got to look at young fighters that are ready. If Benavidez wants to come and talk to us and make that fight, we can talk to him and make that fight, no problem. But if he's leaving the PBC because they haven't delivered on what was planned, you can't expect him to just like hang around and wait on them. So Mungia, I think, is the fight for May. Listen, if Berlanga happens in September, great, maybe he gets another big win in the meantime. If Benavidez wants to fight in September, Sal will fight all of them. He just wants to be active.
What are your thoughts on Benavidez going up to 175, fighting Alexander Gosling?
The weirdest fight I've ever seen. Why is that fight? Why is that fight even relevant?
It's for the interim.
Yeah, listen, Goslik's a very good fighter, but what's Benavidez doing? Is he moving up to 175? Is he coming? Once Benavidez starts moving to 175, he may never come back.
Well, he says he wants to win Benavidez and Devin. He said he wants to win.
They can do that.
How does Shakur Matias fit in 140?
Well, this fight, right up there. I think Devin should already be top 5 pound for pound. I really do.
Eddie, real quick, you brought up PBC's financial situation, but DAZN has been raising their subscription costs. They're going to Saudi Arabia to get more money. Why is it that PBC are the ones where you could go there in trouble financially? But no one says that about DAZN when you guys are...
Because they don't have a broadcaster that is paying them money to service their fighters.
Yeah, but DAZN is raising costs.
No, DAZN has the biggest budget in boxing, and continuously make sure.
So they haven't raised their subscriptions at all?
Yeah, of course they have. Everybody's raised their subscriptions over the past couple of years.
Eddie.
But your question is, why is PBC struggling and why are DAZN not? The answer is DAZN pay a lot of money to promoters for rights fees to service their fighters and keep them active. PBC do not have a broadcaster that pay rights fees for a consistent schedule.
Well, they have Amazon, right?
No, they have a broadcaster where they've got a couple of pay-per-views that they have to take a risk on with no guarantees. They have no plan, they have no schedule, they have no regular content outside of pay-per-views that, quite frankly, aren't even really pay-per-views. And you cannot run a business, you cannot build a schedule, you cannot maintain and service your fighters if you do not have a broadcaster that is paying rights fees for regular Saturday night fight nights.
Yeah, but outside of maybe the Saudi fights, what has what big fights have DAZN put on?
Are you joking?
Outside of the Saudi fights?
Are you joking?
No, I want to know.
I mean, Haney against Garcia.
I mean, this is now.
I mean,
talking about
Katie Taylor, Anthony Joshua, Ryan Garcia. You got
Ryan Garcia was with Tank last time. That's with a PVC fight.
No, that was on DAZN. Do your maths. Also, he just fought Duarte on DAZN like a couple of months ago.
Those are pay-per-view fights?
No, they weren't.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But
I think you work for the PBC.
No, I'm not. I'm just challenging you, bro. That's it. I just say I'm just here
every single week. I mean, every single week. We've got Taylor Cattrall the week after this. It's a sold-out event in the UK. You've got Haney against Garcia. You just did Jaime Mungia against John Ryder. We did Bam against Sonny Edwards Unification. We're going to be doing Bam against Estrada, massive Mexican fight in the summer. You've got Virgil Ortiz, you've got Diego Pacheco, you've got Berlanga. I mean, like, it's every single week.
Hey, real quick, let me ask you a question. What have you learned about the American market since you've been working here?
That's a good question. We'll do that one.